Hey,
Hi.
how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. All right. Welcome to the WAG Pod. We have Lori, Victoria, and Ashley of IB Pet. Thank you all for joining us today. Really appreciate it. We had talked a little bit about the inspiration for IB Pet being your dog Tanner. Is that right? So do you
Yes.
want to kind of dive into what kind of made you interested in finding kind of the right food for Tanner and how this kind of led to four stores opening?
So from the beginning with Tanner, he had stomach issues like diarrhea, and then he had hot spots, ear infections, and I took him to the vet, and nothing really fixed his problem. It was like a temporary fix
Sure.
until I dove into diet, and I realized that, the food that I was feeding wasn't the best. And I was introduced to Nature's Variety at the time was what it was called. It's Instinct now, which was one of the first raw companies
Yeah.
out there at the time, like popular ones.
Right.
And it just changed everything. Like his skin and coat improved. The stools were better. They were smaller.
That's
Um,
a huge win right
and
there. Smaller stools. It's probably easier to pick
yeah,
up too, right?
yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so he's is golden retriever, is that right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's gone now. He passed away in August of 2022
Right.
after 16 years. And I had another golden too. Her name was
16
Callie.
years old.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's amazing. I guess yeah, the raw food really does work. So basically, how did this? I know your first store opened in 2009. Is that right? And so,
Yes.
kind of what led you up to that moment, like going from like, hey, I am, seeing that this raw food really works, but I'm not finding a place to get it. Was that kind of the mindset behind it?
Kinda. I actually had gone into business with like my pet sitter. She and I just like started this thought we're thinking about starting like a pet boutique.
Right.
That didn't really work out. And then I was living in Coronado at the time. And my husband and I were looking for a house and in Imperial Beach, and I just stumbled on this space. It was 900 square feet, and it was like the perfect spot.
Right.
We just went for it,
Yeah.
and we outgrew the space very fast too.
That's a
So I
good
was,
thing, though,
buying
right?
everything that I wanted for my dog,
Right.
that I couldn't find at other stores. And we outgrew the 900 square feet very fast, I think within like 6 months.
That's amazing. And I think something interesting we had talked about before was that was it was 2009, which was like right after and
Oh,
during
yeah.
kind of 2008 recession. And I thought kind of an interesting topic to discuss is the pet care industry is that kind of recession proof? And what did you learn during that?
Yeah, a lot of people thought I was crazy to open a pet store in 2009 when everyone's home was foreclosing and
Yeah.
and it was even hard for us to find a decent house at the time. But I had actually lost my job too. I was laid off, I don't know, maybe 6 months prior.
Right.
And my husband at the time, he was full-time Navy, so we had his income.
Right.
So we just kind of relied on that. And yeah, I think that like when times are hard, people they rely on their pets. I mean, for emotional support. And then when it gets too expensive to like start a family, maybe hey, let's get the dog instead,
Yeah. Oh,
there.
100%. I think we're seeing a lot of that. Like there's just a huge trend, like people of my generation, like you'll see them get married a little bit later, maybe 25, 26. Then they're like, "Ah, let's get a dog," and then kind of,
Yeah.
figure it out from there. So I know you mentioned Ashley has been your friend for a while. When did y'all start working together?
Well, we met in 2005. And she actually did work with me a little bit with the pet boutique I had mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to answer the question, Ash?
Yeah, sure. I did work with Lori a little bit while
Yeah.
she was, they opened Tuscan Willow, and then we just remained friends. We were friends first through our husbands.
Right.
So we just kind of had that bond, and then through kids and stuff. And then I moved to the East Coast, but we remained in close contact. And then I kind of had some life changes and reached out to Lori. What was it? December of 23, I think,
Yeah.
probably around there. And she didn't have anything at the time, but then a few months later, she just reached out about me coming on board to help with payroll. And
Yeah.
it's kind of evolved quickly
That's
Mhm.
into many
amazing.
hats.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at y'all's website. You have like what over 40 employees at this point.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
do you want to talk a little bit about y'all's different stores and different locations? Because I know y'all are in California, correct? So,
Yes, we're in
yeah,
Southern California. So I have we have well the first store is in Imperial Beach, and that's where IB Pet comes from.
yeah.
In
Ah, I like that. The
IB.
old IB. I was
So
wondering about that.
yeah, that's what the IB's for. And then when we opened in Chula Vista, we thought about changing the name, like, oh, would it be Chula Vista Pet? But Imperial Beach is the Chula Vista's community's beach.
Right.
You come west.
Yeah.
So we kept with the IB. And then we expanded in 2018 to La Mesa. And then most recently, our store that opened in Del Mar, which is about 45 minutes north of the IB store, just to give you like some
Yeah,
perspective.
that's amazing. I'm terrible at geography, so I'm trying to like imagine this as you're telling me, but that is amazing in such a short time span as well. So
Kinda,
do
kinda short.
each, yeah. Do each of your stores are they pretty similar layout? Do they offer different things or what does that kind of look like?
I wouldn't say the layouts are sort of similar. I think we try to stick to about 300 square feet in space.
Okay.
Anything smaller than that isn't large enough.
Right.
The Imperial Beach store is just, it's different because it was, like 2,000 square feet, and then the taco shop went out. We took over that space, so it just kind of evolved. It's not your traditional layout.
Yeah,
We have similar products at all the stores, but
sure.
some of them, like for example, my manager Jackie at our La Mesa store, she has a really good eye for different types of treats. So she'll
Yeah.
bring them in before the rest of us will, and like we'll test it out. So
It's like scouting out. She's like the baseball
mhm.
scout, but just of dog treats. That's awesome. I like that.
Yep. And then like in IB, we will sell more chicken food than other locations. So
Sure,
better.
sure. So, besides kind of it working well for your dog, like I don't know, do you guys give tips and tricks about raw feeding? I saw that you all kind of have a blog as well. I would love to dive in. I know we had talked about, I had an episode we just put out with a lady who does raw feeding, but I just think there's so much and it's such a comprehensive topic. So I don't know, do you want to kind of jump in a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, for someone that's going into raw feeding brand new, it can be kind of discouraging, just because it's raw food. And it can be expensive
Yeah,
too. So I would say ease into it. So whatever you're doing now, well, first off, try to get on a quality kibble, and start there. And
right.
then start it as a topper, just add a little bit in. You'll start to see the improvements. And then you're going to want to go, all in if you can. And then
Yeah,
if it's too expensive, try to buy it in bulk. Sometimes you can get it in chubs or in bulk boxes.
right.
Yeah. And look
There's
at deals and things like that.
in my pet sitting experience, I have not. I've done like I fed dogs farmer's dog, right? I had like my first time doing that. Is that's cooked already? Is that right, or is that also raw?
Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah. Farmer's dog is the one that they deliver to your house.
right.
Yeah, so we don't have that one. And I believe it's probably similar to a Pup Above
Okay,
or My Perfect Pet or
right.
like Open Farm. Is it in like a plastic and you like, you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's already cooked, which is fine. If you're not comfortable with going the raw route, that's the next best thing.
Right, right. I think I don't know. A while ago I got on one of those Instagram scroll like loops, and I was watching like all of these dog moms like cutting up the chicken feed and like putting the eggs in and like putting like I don't maybe turmeric, like a bunch of different things. It's very it's interesting to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like maybe I should be changing out my diet a little bit.
Yeah, you
So
just gotta think like dogs are essentially wolves. They can even breed with wolves. So they're
right.
biologically the same. We shouldn't be feeding them anything different than what's their appropriate diet.
Right. So compared to, I guess, one of the things, same with like, let's say people who are lower income, it might be hard to afford those healthy organic foods, at Harris Teeter or wherever.
Mhm.
And then you kind of need to go to those McDonald's or Burger King or whatever that you can, feed yourself and your family. What would you say to like people who want to get into raw feeding, but it may not quite be in their budget? Is there a good way to go about that?
Yeah, so we have a brand. It's actually from the East Coast called Canine Craving, and that's always been our budget brand. We buy it in the 5 pound chubs.
Hmm.
So you're not paying for like the little patties, the extra processing
Right.
that goes into cutting and preparing and wrapping those. And it's we buy it directly from, I would buy it directly from the manufacturer, not through distribution.
Right.
So we're able to pass on those savings to the customer.
Right.
So
That's
I would look for, if I'm giving someone advice, I would look for a pet store that buys direct from either like, for example, we have House Shawn too, which they're up north. We
right.
buy from them. You're going to pay less and you'll be able to get it in bulk too, which,
Right. Which, yeah, I mean, I think and I think all the stuff, I mean, same as like me ordering pizza from Papa John's late at night. I probably could have bought some vegetables instead, so I think
yeah,
all that kind of stuff is doable.
yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, Victoria. So I know that you joined. When exactly did you join? And I know you work on like marketing, social media kind of stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, so I was actually a customer, and I didn't join the team or the company until like 2022-ish. I was barely finishing out college, so I wanted something kind of stable to kind of like get me through my classes and stuff.
Yeah.
So from there, Lori gave me the opportunity to kind of have some practice with my major, which was journalism with an emphasis of advertising.
Nice.
So there she kind of let me help out with like the like social media and like content creation and kind of just
Yeah.
upping the Instagram. And
Right.
then like Ashley from there kind of just start to wear multiple hats and just help out the
Yeah.
company.
Yeah. So what is your day to day kind of look like? Because I know and y'all are in different locations, if I remember correctly. Like there's two in California, and then
I'm in Oklahoma.
that's right. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So what does that kind of day to day look like? Are Victoria, are you going into the store a decent bit and back and forth, or are you doing a lot of stuff remote?
I'm doing yeah, like a hybrid. So some days I'm in the store helping out like merchandising or talking to customers, which is like my favorite thing to do. And then like my remote days, I'm working on like the email themes, working alongside our marketing team, getting our monthly specials ready, and then anything extra, like social media post videos, kind of
Yeah.
like talking about the food industry and things that we bring in.
Right. A little jack of all trades going on. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I would love to have someone with my social media. I was I'm just not very good at it. I got off like all the social media stuff after college, and then I was just like doing Dog the Day or whatever on our Wagworks page. And my friend Anna Jordan, who we're doing like a jewelry collab with her, she was like, Richmond, you're good at a lot of things. You're not very good at it. It's like let me give you some advice. But I think it's something to be said where like when you're starting something that's yours, you're just gonna have to give kind of everything you have to it, even if you're not good at editing or doing that kind of stuff. So I don't know, it's very cool, Lord, to see like this team that you've built and you kind of have your core team, but like starting I don't know, starting back in 2009, is this kind of where you imagine you would have been, or is this kind of exceeded your expectations?
I think it's exceeded my expectation for sure. Like I never thought I would build a business that supports my family completely. I mean, my ex-husband was able to retire from the Navy
Yeah,
after our second store.
yeah,
Well, he
that's
went into
that's
the service,
amazing.
but yeah, and it's grown, and I mean, I actually do feel good about, it's not just me and my family. It's Ashley, it's Victoria, it's Joe, it's Jackie, it's all our employees that and the community that IB Pet now supports.
Yeah.
Um, so it's sometimes when you sit down and you think about it, it's crazy. Like
That's something to be very proud of. I mean,
yeah.
who am I, just a random 23-year-old guy saying that? But still, like looking from the outside, sometimes like friends and family are biased in giving like those compliments and everything like that. And I just think it's amazing that just kind of the story of it, and it's grown to four different spots. So what do you think is next for y'all? What kind of projects do you have going on? Are you looking to expand to more stores?
Yeah, I mean, we're still very busy right now with Delmar only being 6 months old. So we're gonna
Like a
put all our
puppy.
yeah, it's puppy. We're gonna put all our energy there. I definitely do plan to expand again in the future. Hopefully, I won't wait. I think I wait like 5 years plus. I'm probably gonna maybe 2 years, maybe
Yeah.
maybe 2026, 2027. We'll
Yeah.
see. And just kind of go with the flow.
Right. Are there
Yeah.
a lot of kind of competing stores in the area that are similar to y'all? I would guess, I guess before answering that, I would guess maybe not as much because y'all have that focus on raw food, right?
Yeah, I mean Petco, PetSmart, they have raw too. I mean, my Del Mar store is right across the street from a Petco, a
Yeah.
big Petco. But we don't view Petco and PetSmart as a direct competitor because, like you said, we have more unique stuff. I feel like we also have the team in place for when people
Yeah.
come in with those challenging situations that they need a little extra help. We do a better job at that. Um, and I mean, there are some competitors, but like for example, my stores are only 15 minutes away, and we have some overlap of customers, but not really. I
Right.
think the rule is like 8 miles or something.
Right.
They say that you're out of the other person's territory within 8 miles. So,
Right. So the customers are almost kind of getting a community feel every time they go
oh
in,
yeah.
like to each store, and it's not like they're crossing over between.
There's
Gotcha.
some overlap, but very minimal. The only time there's overlap is when we don't have something and they're going somewhere else to go get it or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I think I don't know with big stores like Petco and PetSmart, I don't know. I agree with your mindset. Like I don't really look at I mean, for example, with my house sitting pet care, like I don't really look at anyone who's like walking dogs or anyone who's doing that kind of stuff. I just think it's awesome because there are so many dogs, right? And
Hmm.
like I feel like once you kind of find your niche, you're able to kind of scale and grow from there. So
Hmm.
going off of that, like, can you explain a little bit how you scaled? Like, what was that process of going from one to two to three to four? Because that's amazing.
Well, so initially we actually started a delivery business. My ex-husband and I started a delivery business. And this was back before like the Instacart, the Uber Eats. And
Yeah,
because we were happy with our location, we were like, we just want to reach more people. So let's just
yeah,
bring it to them.
yeah,
So we did that, and we did that for, I think we started that in 2011, 2012, and then we ended it in 2015, right after we opened the Chulo Vista store. It just became very difficult to do the delivery, to do the order taking. We
sure,
weren't making, I mean, it was if we had if we had the infrastructure like we do now with the Instacarts, it's a totally different game.
yeah,
So we started there to try to expand, and then that didn't quite work out. I mean, we had tons of sales, we just didn't have the profit that we needed.
right,
It just made sense to move on to another retail space. So
right,
that's what we did.
yeah,
So that was kind of like our path there was just kind of exploring and figuring it out. But then once we had store two, we had processes in place. We knew what people wanted. We knew what worked, what didn't work. And so it wasn't that difficult to just replicate it.
yeah.
I mean, I kind of Del Mar was just like, this is what we're doing, guys. Like this is
Right.
what we do.
Yeah.
So
Like once you've done it a couple times, you're like, all right, I know exactly what to do
yeah,
from here. Awesome.
yeah, just get the right people and stay fresh on the products.
Do you think that, I guess, what do you think is the more important to growing IB, having the products or having the people, or you can't have one
Oh,
without the other?
I mean, you got to have the people, but the products, yeah.
Yeah.
And you have
Yeah.
to believe in the product. You have to feed it yourself.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Exactly. I think I forget exactly the order, but my partner and I, he has this system where it's like people, products, systems. There's some of that, but the first thing we've done with building kind of WagWorks is having the people that you need. And like just the fact that you have like two of your friends who are also working with you, like hopping on a Zoom call, like to just kind of be there and support and chime in is that's something to be really, really
Yeah.
proud of as well, honestly. So
It's definitely a network of people, even like my accountant and like my cousin who like has a job in HR. It's a big family, big team.
yeah, yeah, the old family, yeah. So Ashley and Victoria, if y'all want to kind of chime in a little bit more about your experience working with Ivy Pad or some of the, different projects you've enjoyed working on, would love to hear about that.
Victoria, you want to go or you want me to go?
You can go and then
This is
I'll
good.
follow.
I like that. I like the screen is full though. This is the best like formatting we've had. So everyone's nice and polite. Just chime in. I'll probably interrupt.
Um, I guess for me, it's been a learning experience for sure. I've never done anything like this. I fed raw and fed like the quality kibbles and stuff when I lived in San Diego.
Sure.
But then when I moved away, I feel like people don't treat their pets the way that they treat them in California,
Yeah.
especially in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So it's been hard for me being here. I'm like, when my ex comes to visit here,
Right.
he brings food from San Diego.
Right.
So that's one thing that's like hard for me being here versus being
Oh,
out
like not
in
having that
Richmond.
access to food.
Yeah, well, and just like networking with the team, like being able
Sure.
to go into the stores and stuff. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's been a little bit of a challenge for me. And my background was in the Navy. Like I
Sure.
wasn't in the Navy, but I did HR for the Navy. So
Sure.
I'm
Sure. Sure.
currently like just constantly having to learn and adapt, I
Yeah.
guess.
Which is good
Um,
though, you know?
yeah,
Have
yeah.
y'all considered like, hey, maybe we might open one in Oklahoma one of these days, or like expanding out of California? Is that a
I,
thought? That thought has had to come up at least
I
once.
know back in the day, like Lori and Russ and Cody and I, that's my ex's name. We
Yeah.
talked about an East Coast, like when they would come and visit.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing ever happened.
Come to North Carolina. Let's get it going, you know?
Well,
That's
my dad's actually very involved too. He helps with a lot of the books and different things, and he's in Delaware. So I thought, I could maybe start a store in Delaware. And yeah,
perhaps.
my best friend back there could use a really good job. Well, she's a nurse now. She wouldn't be
Yeah.
interested. But, I got a community back there too. So
A
who
hundred
knows?
Yeah.
percent. It's just all community based. And I think it's like, the who starts it and like how much effort and energy you're putting into it. Is it difficult at times kind of working with friends, or has it been pretty smooth sailing?
I feel like I've been here a year and I can't say that we've had any issues. I
Yeah.
mean, I think,
I'm putting you on the spot right
yeah,
here.
you are putting me on the spot.
No,
So
we
I think
haven't.
when I first started last year, because I was like, okay, every other week for 3 hours, I can totally do that because I homeschool too.
Sure.
And it was like about a month into it where I was like, whoa, I need to take a step back.
Yeah.
I'm getting consumed. But then I think my work life balance has shifted. So I'm able to handle things better than I was. I hadn't worked in, like, obviously I worked because I was a full time mom, but
Sure.
not a job where I was like
Right. Right.
being held
You were
accountable.
24/7, not 9 to 5,
Yeah.
right?
And
But
homeschooling.
yes, but not
Oh
in the
yeah,
eight
on top
years
of
had I
that.
been like working with people.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit challenging for me. But as far as Lori and I go, like it's like very raw and real, and we trust each other,
Right.
and I feel like we know each other's strengths, and
Right.
so we just kind of work off of
It works.
those.
Definitely.
People talk to her about stuff, and then she comes and talks to me, and it's a little bit easier to go that way.
Right,
Yeah.
right. 100%. Yeah, I think I don't know. In the phase, like I'm very fortunate to have a lot of like good friends. Like we just got our Wagworks Cares like philanthropy approved that we're gonna be doing. And like I'd have like 9 friends on the board and then like, a
Yeah.
couple different and like they're all just giving their time, which is pretty sick. Like it's, I'm like I hope to dream big and achieve some pretty big things. But like even then, like the guy who produces like we have I think I mentioned we have a shed right out there where we do like our in-person podcast, which is pretty hilarious. Like the guy who comes up, Alex Green, is awesome. Like he goes, he rents the equipment from Chapel Hill, we bring it up and we do it together. And it's one of those things I'm like, because I'm month to month, right? Like I want to stay in Raleigh. Like I love my parents, but I don't think that they would like me to be back there. So, I'm month to month and like I was telling him, I was like, dude, like, we can figure out a way to kind of get you paid out, like figure something. He goes, no, dude, like believe in this and just kind of keep going. And so like I just think those relationships and those early like I don't know, the loyalty and the belief that you see that down the line, like years later, you're gonna remember that. Like, the same as like bringing Ashley back kind of on the team, which has been kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Definitely.
there's been a lot of people along the way too that have been part of the team and then have moved on. Like for example, my former operations manager who started out as a sales associate is now a rep for a company called Roz, which is a
Right.
dog food brand.
Yeah.
So she started out as like 16 years old, right? High school first job,
Yeah.
and now she's got a great job, and it all started.
It's very cool to see that, and I can definitely, I mean, through the camera, of course, we're on opposite coasts, but I can definitely just kind of just feel like the connection care you have about your employees, and I think like sometimes when things start to get a little too corporate, like I don't know, I haven't been to a PetSmart, Petco in forever, and like, but the same thing when you don't have that community touch, the community feel like that your clients get when they walk in it's maybe not going to be as successful or scalable down the line.
Yeah, no, yeah, you definitely need the customer relationship, I think
Yeah,
is important.
definitely.
Sure.
So hopping back in with Victoria, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of your day to day or like any exciting projects you've had to work on? I know You said you were in school when you first started working, is that right?
Yeah, I was. So, during that time, I was like just doing small social media posts for Lori, like for
Yeah.
IB Pet specifically. So I would highlight different kinds of treats and stuff like that. And like the stuff that I was learning at school, I was like implementing it here. So like for example, just kind of like going with what IB Pet stands for, like feeding raw and stuff like that. So kind of using that as a turning point for our marketing post,
Right. Is
whereas
it
like we're
kind of a
educating.
branding? Is that right? Like you're kind of developing IB Pet as a brand. What would you say kind of like that brand is, or what has it evolved into from when you guys first started to now?
Yeah, I think definitely like looking at it in the past was just kind of like posting like what we had and like what we make and kind of just like more store based. But obviously like I wanted to reach a community where it was beyond that.
Right.
I believe like IB Pet YAG is in California, but we can expand our morals just across the nation and
Yeah.
across the world. So that way we kind of took now a more educational based route.
Nice.
So, any product that we do bring in, we're also explaining like why we brought it in. That way,
Yeah.
if somebody like, from the East Coast sees it, hey, I saw really good things that I learned from IB Pet. I can try to go to my local independent pet store and
Right.
bring that in.
Right.
So it's just more of an educational route now that we take.
Definitely. And what is that mostly like through y'all's blogs that you have on your website, or are you doing the research, or does Lori just know everything there is to know about
No,
all of her
don't
Yeah.
look at the blog. Don't look at the blog.
The blog is slowly coming up to date, but it's
Yeah.
kind of more just on our Instagram page
Yeah.
currently,
Yeah.
and then more in our email themes
Yeah.
that we usually do and send out to our customers.
Right.
But for right now, yeah, it's Instagram, but to be coming soon, our
I think
revamped
blog.
blog
I
post.
don't know. Like, there's. I was talking to the last lady about the raw feeding, and like back then she was telling me like a lot of people being able to monetize blogs and stuff, and like it's just completely like shifted. Like, I don't think like it's good to be there and have like almost a newsletter stuff like that, but like I think Instagram posts pretty much suffice,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing like research behind the scenes, or what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of like, same thing, Googling and kind of like reading other people's, blogs and
Right.
like a lot of nutritionists here. But a lot of the brands we do bring in, they have like a knowledge doc. So we get to learn a lot of things behind the scenes with that. It's called app retail, and
Yeah.
brands out there put their information, and from there we get to learn and then share that knowledge however we would like and please
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. What are the benefits of working hybrid? I'll tell you this. I love going back and forth from places. Like I like my day's more exciting that way, I feel like, rather than being in one place. Is that kind of
Yeah.
something you align with?
Yeah, definitely. I think like, when I kind of like want to break from the computer, it's nice to kind of go into the store and like talk to the customers. Like I
Yeah.
said, like I think that's the most like rewarding thing is
Yeah.
when someone does come in with an issue and you're able to help solve that issue and they come back and they're like, "Oh my God, that worked so well and my
Right.
dog completely changed." I think
Right.
that's just like the most rewarding experience.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It does have to be nice when you actually like see them in person and like online is good, but I do love doing the shed. It's
Yeah.
like this works and it's great. And I've made friends in Utah and Oregon, but like when you're there, it definitely is like more raw and personal. And you're like looking at them, was like, was I actually funny or were they just like trying to make me feel better about it?
Yeah.
So I guess how has kind of innovation played into what IB Pet is offering? Like, are y'all constantly looking for the newest thing out? Have y'all done like innovative things in your stores? I know that you said the layout's a little bit different. Do you want to kind of talk about that?
Um, I don't know if it's necessarily the layout that's changed. I think like we're trying different products, I would say.
Yeah,
Especially recently, we've been looking at like the parts and stuff. Like, for
right.
example, we brought in chicken heads and duck heads at the Del Mar store. I think we already had those at the La Mesa store too, but we're just
Yeah,
trying different things that are like trendy, but trying to understand if they really are good for your dog.
right. Do you want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about those? That sounds incredibly interesting. Chicken heads going in. Yeah, I want to know more about that.
I just fed a duck head to whiskey this morning.
Yeah,
I wasn't really sure how that was going to go, but it went just fine. It
yeah,
was freeze dried. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think a lot of people come in and they're like, "Oh my God, what is this?" Like
right.
they're expecting to just find like, I don't know, some type of chew, you know what I
Right.
mean? And they
Right.
see, and like, can you really feed this to your dog?
Yeah.
And people think about what they would eat, you know what I mean? If they
Right.
had
If
this
they were wolves,
wild.
they're
Yeah,
inside, they're wolves though.
yeah.
Even though how cuddly they are, and give them their belly scratches. Inside, they're all secretly wolves. I like that.
And like
Um,
feeding like turkey necks or duck necks, it's very interesting, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah. I
And
think
these are
that's
all
super
things,
interesting. What'd you
yeah,
say?
and these are all things that they can add to their bowl,
Yeah.
like with being raw, like these are things that they can add to their bowl with like, extra like, beef hearts or chicken hearts that's just extra taurine.
Yeah.
So it kind of brings in that cycle of, you're not buying like treats that are filled with all these fillers and stuff like that. They're
Right.
all like naturally processed or
You're
minimally processed and all natural.
exactly. And
Yeah.
you're also having a variety in your diet,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like they say
Yes, it's so
that's
important.
important, right?
People need to get away from just thinking I need to feed the same kibble every day. Like, if you're having yogurt, put a dollop in your dog's food.
Sure.
Add a raw egg. Add the shell.
Yeah.
Throw things in there. Change it up.
Yeah. Is it so? How do you feel fairly confident with clients asking for like specific recipes or nutrition, or is it typically like per each dog, individual case?
When I get that kind of question, I say, feed your dog. Think about how you feed yourself. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like you might eat
Not
fish
well, no.
twice a week. You might eat chicken. You might eat this.
Yeah.
Well, how you should feed yourself.
Right,
You know what I mean? For being
right.
healthy. Everything in moderation too. Okay. So
Right.
like, you're busy. You might need to feed kibble one night. That's fine. You know what
Right.
I mean? It's everything in moderation. So with recipes, I don't think there is a perfect recipe. I think it
Sure.
is variety is very important. Rotating
Right.
proteins, types of food. Because I feel like if you stick to the same thing all the time, we see allergies or intolerance to
Hmm.
certain foods.
Oh, they tend to build up like over time if you're just eating the same kind of
Yeah.
kibble or anything like that.
Yeah. So it's good to change it up. I also don't like to put all my eggs in one basket. You're gonna put all of your trust in one brand of food that it's gonna meet your dog's
Right.
needs its
Right.
entire life or even an entire month.
Right.
No,
You have to
switch it up.
diversify your dog food portfolio. That's it
Yeah.
right there. I like that. So
Add toppers. Yep.
yeah, what exactly is topper? I've like fed a dog it before, but I've put it on there, and it's the client asked me to, but I don't even know exactly what it is.
Well, what was it that you put? What was it? Can you describe it?
It was like I guess it had like a sand-like texture almost, kind of, and you just sprinkle it over a little
It's
bit.
freeze dried, probably just freeze dried crumbles.
Yeah, is that like meat that's in
So
there?
that's raw meat that's freeze dried.
I
Most likely. Yeah.
Right. For
And then, I mean, that's unprocessed. It's just the
yeah,
moisture is just taken out. It's not cooked. If
right.
it's raw, most likely
Yeah.
raw.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
so there's a lot of benefits to that because you think with kibble, the cooking process is so I think it's like 400 to 600 degrees. It's super
Yeah.
hot. It kills out any good nutrients that's available in the food. They even
Right.
spray some of the kibbles with like probiotics and different things to
Really.
how to put it back in after they bake it. Yeah, it's bad.
And yeah,
So by
that
adding
sounds
that
tasty.
topper, you're definitely elevating their meal.
Yeah. So interesting question for all of y'all. Working with all this like raw food diet and being so like paying attention to clients and dogs' health, have you all noticed your diets changing and adapting over the year as well? Is that a thing that's
I
happened?
think I think some people will say their diet gets worse because they spend all their money on their dog food.
Yeah.
I think yes, I'm more health conscious too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You have to be. Ashley and Victoria, do y'all have dogs as well?
Yes, I have a blue healer
Okay.
and well, she's an Australian cattle dog, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
And then I have a Kelpie cross collie.
Cool. Did you
Mhm.
give them some gummy bears as well to go sit away like your kid is
Yeah,
right?
Pearl's napping. Our Kelpie's
That'd be
napping
bad.
just here behind me. It's pouring rain here today, so
Yeah.
they haven't wanted to go outside at all today.
They'll get outside eventually. It'll happen. How about you, Victoria? Do you have a dog as well?
Yes, I have an Australian Shepherd.
Okay. Awesome. Do all y'all pretty much raw feed, or is it kind of a mix?
I think it's a
I
mix.
actually do half and half.
Yeah.
Being a college student at the time, I
Oh,
didn't have the
100%.
funds for full raw. So
Yeah.
I think just like believing at first I would tell the customers like, yeah, you could use that as top or
Sure.
half and half. And like,
Yeah.
I don't like going back to what Lori said, you got to believe it. At the time, I don't think I did. But
Yeah.
then once I
Yeah.
did
There
it,
we
I was like,
go.
yeah, once I did it, I was like, oh my
Fashion.
God, it does work. Like it a
Right.
little bit goes a long way, no matter what. I think a lot of people think like, I think I was thinking that my dog probably wouldn't be getting the same benefits, because I am
Right.
doing half and half, but actually doing it, no, a little bit goes a long way, no matter what.
I think so too. And like, I don't know, my dogs, Ivy and Cedric, we have a 1-year-old Springer Spaniel puppy and 12-year-old Springer Spaniel, and they've been eating kibble all their life. Like, that's just not something that my parents have ever considered doing, right? And like recently my mom's been getting into like add a little rice, add a little something with their dinner. And what I think I've really liked about people I've talked to, at least in the raw feeding community, is it's never really coming in with, and definitely not y'all. It's just no arrogance. It's not like coming in like, hey, you guys are wrong for doing this, or hey, you guys are. It's more about just teaching and learning more
Yes.
about it and feeling if it works for you. Because everyone has to live their own life. Everyone has to pay their own bills. Unfortunately, I have to pay my own bills. That stinks. But I think it's cool to just kind of share the wealth of knowledge that's there, and then like you'll have people like Victoria who are like, I'm not sure, but then come in and be like, all right, there's something to this. So I think that's really cool, and I think that's something that y'all portray and IB Pet as well. It sounds like you just have a really good community who cares about their dogs and wants to learn, right?
Mhm. Yeah, definitely.
Sweet. All right, we have about, let me look, 3 minutes left. I want to make sure, keep track of time. Are there any kind of like last notes, things that you want to say that you're excited for? What brings you kind of joy in what you do to your day to day for all of y'all? Anyone can jump in.
I'll let one of you guys answer. I did a lot of talking.
Whichever.
Go ahead.
I would say what brings me joy. Definitely, let's see, how can I answer this? I definitely like we've been doing some virtual trainings with some of the companies, and that's been fun getting to
Yeah,
hear for me, since I'm not there in the store, getting to learn more
right.
just on a one-on-one basis with the reps that we've been doing. So it's exciting for me to keep promoting those trainings and
Yeah,
also learning in the process because
yeah.
I mean it's like Raws that Lori kind of mentioned earlier. They donate all of their profits to different which organization is it? I can't remember, but I'm looking
I think they do
like
they help with
to
service dogs, pair people with service dogs.
that
Sure.
and
Okay, cool.
TBI victims too.
Yeah,
So because both of their children, I
yeah.
believe, had accidents, and so they donate their proceeds to that. And
That's
then
amazing.
Nutro, another brand that we work with, has a line called Finley's, and they
Yeah,
donate all of their profits from that particular line to Down syndrome, like
yeah.
people with disabilities and
Right.
stuff. So the companies are really amazing. I feel like that we
Oh,
work with. So
100%. Some may argue that dog community and dog companies are the best, right?
yeah,
They are. Was pretty
so
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably what brings me joy.
Yeah. Sweet.
You guys want to meet Whiskey real quick? Let me see if I
Yeah.
can come up. Can you
Just
come up and say hi?
under a minute. Oh
Okay. Oh,
my
he's eating
goodness
his treat.
gracious.
Here.
So adorable.
Say hi. Let me see your face. He's only a year old, so Callie and Tanner
So
are
stinking
with
cute.
that. So this is my new one. I didn't even really talk about him.
Yeah, Tanner's the OG.
He's
All
a
right,
good boy.
we are about to get cut off, but thank you guys
Thanks
so
for
much for
having
coming
us.
on. Really, really appreciate it. Enjoyed the conversation. Wish you guys the best of luck.
All
Thanks,
right.
you too.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.